Hello. Hi guys, I am back in town. Back in town, as we say in my family. So I finally got a new drift mic, finally. I was actually not expecting it today. They're saying it was going to come in Monday, but you know, it's fucking Amazon stuff. But anyways, who's to fucking complain? I got it earlier than what I needed. So I'm happy I finally got it. And I don't know how this video is going to come out, guys. Might be a lot of wind noise. I might have to move the mic around. But one thing for sure, I'm definitely going to be much more careful with the stupid fragile drift mics. Oh, if any of you guys are wondering what happened, basically I bought some cheap mics online, some cheaper ones, that like cheaper than drift. And what happened was, is those mics were stereo. Stupid me, so I didn't realize. So, and the thing is, the drift mics, they're mono. They're not stereo microphones. So, of course, they didn't work with my camera. So I paid like $14 for these cheap mics, not realizing, oh yeah, duh, doofus, like, it's friggin', they won't work on your camera. Oh boy, now I got all the traffic coming. You got the fucking bullshit 9 flying traffic. Believe it, once upon a time, this road used to be quick. Before we had all these idiots driving like 50, 60 on 9 flying. And I guess that brings me up to another topic. That's actually what I'm going to be talking about today. Speed limits. Speed limits. And the title of this video will be Ontario's ridiculously slow speed limits. Because I think we've got some of the most ridiculous speed limits considering how big our roads are over here. We've got probably some of the slowest speed limits in the world. You see that highway over there? In the distance? Yeah, that's 100 kilometers per hour. Only 100. For you Americans who might be watching, that's 60 miles an hour. So that's even slower than the states that have the measly 65 miles per hour speed limits. And most of our highways, at least in the Toronto area, they also have 3 lanes. So when they're not busy, realistically, you could be doing between 120 to 130 and not really be a danger to anybody. But, yeah. But, I think, but anyways, yeah. Another thing, too, it's not even just the highways that have stupidly slow speed limits. For example, I mean, I'll give you guys some examples of, like, stupidly slow speed limits. Like a lot of people, they talk about in Ontario, over here, they'll talk about how slow the highway speed limit is. It's not even just the freeways. I mean, those are ridiculously slow. Like, ridiculously slow, considering how big they are. And how they're built. I mean, highways in Europe, for example, they have speed limits of 120, 130 in most countries. Even our rural roads here have ridiculously slow speed limits. And sometimes, I mean, a good example would be Dundas. Getting back to Dundas, yeah, that road literally, it's got shoulders, like gravel shoulders. On every side, it's got no sidewalk. You might have the odd pedestrian once every 20 kilometers, but literally that's it. That's it, and you got, you know, traffic lights on it. But it's basically just a undivided highway. And the funny thing is, when I was a kid, that road, okay, that highway had a speed limit of 80 kilometers per hour, which was reasonable, which was, you know, a reasonable speed for that road. So everybody back then was doing, you know, 80, 90. Then what happened was, is they decided, because of the traffic on it, I guess, they decided, let's enlarge the highway. Let's make it larger. So they added an extra lane on each side. So now it's basically a 6 lane, so 3 lanes each side, undivided highway. But what they did is when they're doing the construction, I guess for safety reasons, they lowered it down 60. But then, you see, You see, that was basically a trap because they never actually raised it back up to 80. They keep the fucking speed limit down at 60k an hour. If I was to realistically drive 60 on that road, I would probably get killed. And everybody is still doing 80, 90. So yeah, I mean, I think that's another good example of a road with a stupidly slow speed limit. And you even see a lot of other rural highways. Like, you'll be out in the middle of nowhere, speed limit of 60. Like, what the hell? You know, and like, there'll be little bits where it'll be 80 and then it'll go down to 60, then back up to 80, and it's like what? Like, why are such slow speed limits? Like, I mean, the funny thing is, if you go to like some other provinces, some other U.S. states, or even other countries, roads like that, you know, rural roads will actually have a speed limit of like 100 kilometers per hour. And I'm not even talking, you know, like that big road like Dundas. I mean, like, just single, you know, just 2 lanes, like 1 lane on each side, you know, type highways, like completely rural highways. They'll have speed limits of like, sorry if the audio is a bit loud, you know, some of those roads will have speed limits of like 100. Anywhere from 80 to 100 kilometers per hour. So I don't understand why, you know, the fastest you'll ever see a rural road, unless it's a Trans-Canada type rural road, is 80. Like, what? Like, why? And a lot of times they'll go down to 60. As soon as there's like a house, the speed limit goes down to 60. It's like, geez. Anyways, I think Dundas, though, is really a good example of a stupid speed limit. You know, 60 on basically a highway with no barrier, you know. Like, come on. Realistically, that could be between 80 to 100 kilometers per hour and no one would crash. But you see, the reason why a lot of our roads are actually slow, a lot of people use the excuse, well, you know, people speed. I don't buy into that. I think the reason why people are speeding is because the roads are too slow. The speed limits are too slow. Not because the people are driving too fast, but the politicians, the people who are regulating these roads here, the speed limits, they put them too slow. And I personally think it's on purpose. Because you know what? I'm convinced it's difference in speed that kills. Not speeding, but difference in speed. And I think it's about giving out tickets and making money. Oakville probably realized they weren't making enough money off of Dundas and said, let's lower the speed limit to 60 to fulfill our stupid ticket quotas. And that's what happens when you have basically, you know, a system that actually benefits from road tickets, you know. But anyways, now I'm actually going to be talking a little bit about how speed limits are supposed to be set anyways, or how roads are engineered by the people who make the roads. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've did a bit of research on this, and basically the way that speed limits are supposed to be determined on roads is they're built, the speed limit is supposed to be, anyways, according to the engineers that make the roads, they're supposed to be based on what 85% of traffic would typically drive on that road. So basically what that means is if only 15% of the cars on a road with, say, a speed limit of 60, only 15% should be even going over 60 kilometers per hour. And when I mean over, I mean it doesn't matter what, just anything over 60. People should be going, 85% of traffic should be going the speed limit or slower. So, but like, let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. A lot of our roads, like the highway or Dundas, like the highway, like the 401, like the, what was it, the 403 I just showed you guys? Like that highway there, which has a speed limit of only 100 kilometers per hour, or, you know, or the undivided highway like Dundas, which only has a stupid speed limit of 60. Now, let's be honest, there's 85% of traffic do 60 kilometers or slower on that road, for example. No! Fuck no! It's more like 85% of traffic is doing 80, 90 kilometers per hour, exceeding the speed limit, and you'll have the occasional 15%, maybe 15% of traffic that's driving the measly 60. And the thing is that actually, the irony, the very, very irony, is it makes the roads more dangerous. Not more safe, but more dangerous. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, the thing is, like, for example, for a highway, when you have a measly speed limit of 100 kilometers per hour, what happens is you'll get most people exceeding the speed limit. Doing the average, I'd say, on any 400 series highway or a QEW, come on. The average, I would say, is between 120 to 130 kilometers per hour, okay? Cops, and of course there's this kind of unwritten rule that cops won't touch you if you're doing 120 or less. Which is kind of true, but it depends. Even there, it kind of creates this bizarre gray area. Because they legally could give you a ticket at 120, but they might not. You know, they might not. It all depends if they're assholes or, you know, what mood they're in. So it really creates, you know, and how flexible they are, you know, with speeding. So there's no clear defining rule, for one. And the thing is, you actually create the roads, you're actually making the highway more dangerous, because what happens is you'll get like 15% of traffic actually driving, say, 100 kilometers per hour, because they don't want to get tickets for speeding. You know, they want to be good sports, they want to obey the law, and then everybody else is doing 120, 130. So when somebody is doing 120, 130, approaching this person doing, let's say, 100, they're actually, you know, the chance of that person doing 100 and getting into an accident is actually fairly high. It's actually increasing highway deaths. Like the Autobahn in Germany has less traffic accidents. A road with no speed limit in rural areas has less traffic accidents than a typical highway in North America or Canada. Why do you think? It's because everybody's going fast. Nobody's driving 100, one guy doing 130, one guy doing, you know? And there's discipline. If you're overtaking, you stay in the appropriate lane. Not you know, you don't just drive wherever. Well, that's another story, you know, like undisciplined drivers. But yeah, they actually did some experiments with the so-called excuse, well, if you raise the speed limit, people are still going to be driving over the speed limit. They did some studies on that. They did some experiments. For example, in British Columbia, there's one highway, they actually posted it up. They raised the speed limit to 120. They found that actually only 7% of the population, like 7% of drivers on that road, were actually exceeding 120. And people before, so basically the same number of people were driving 120 when the speed limit over there was, I don't know, 100 or 110, as it is now when it's 120. So that just blows that right in the fucking face. That speed limit, that, you know, raising the speed limit would make people drive faster. I think it's an excuse. It's about tax revenue, making more cash. That's what it's about. There's also a highway in Texas where they even raised it even more. That highway is 85 miles per hour, which is like 140 kilometers, something like that. And the funny thing is, that speed limit that they raised was actually kind of high for that road, because what they found is only 7%, they actually found that like 80% of traffic is not even getting up to that speed limit. They're not even getting up to 140. They actually found that people are overall driving slower than the speed limit, which shows that people sometimes are fucking nuts. Yeah, they found that most of the traffic was not even driving the 140 speed limit, or 85 miles per hour, because they actually raised it a little bit too much. So it just goes to show that people drive a speed really which is, you know, which they're comfortable and which the road is actually engineered for. Typically, I mean, obviously you're always going to get the nutcases who drive like, I don't know, 160 down the highway. You're always going to get the oddball doing that. But the likelihood of the average flow of traffic increasing speed even more than the speed limit increase is just, it's complete bullshit. It's just this giant fucking sacred cow bullshit 100k obsession that we have, that we can't just you know, fucking raise it based on what the actual traffic is driving. You know, it's complete nonsense. Yeah. One area though that I have to say that I definitely do agree where the speed limit should stay slow would be in a residential area. Say a road like these, yeah. Sometimes I won't even get up to 50 on a road like that. Sometimes, because people pull out of driveways. Anyone can pull out of a driveway any fucking time. You can get into an accident anytime. Those roads are actually more dangerous than highways, by the way. There's way more traffic on roads, way more accidents. Come on, fuck. It's hot and I'm stuck in this fucking nonsense. I have no choice though, I have to go to work. Ah, fuck you, Mercedes. Oh, you fucking little... Oh, anyways. So yeah. So yeah, residential roads, it makes sense for the... Fucking assholes. But anyways, yeah, so for... Is this guy even gonna fucking... No. This is like the third person cutting me off in 5 minutes. Holy fuck, man. People just lose all reason in traffic. And no, there was no stop sign for me. But anyways, yeah, so... That's concluding my video. I think that Ontario has got probably one of the biggest speed traps there is in terms of stupidly slow speed limits. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I just had to get that off my chest. Have a great day.